Hello and welcome back to Kestis Forest. Now this Christmas I managed to get myself hold of the Spectrum. I've been looking forward to this for ages, and although I can obviously play this on my big LCD TV, I'm really looking forward to trying to get this to play on my old CRT, just like I used to in the old days. But first let's take a look at the packaging here as we've got it in front of us, and as you can see it's really nicely laid out. You take out the outer sleeve and you get this lovely little sort of reprint of the keyboard, and then when you open it up, oh, there it is. The classic design, the rubber key version. This is the first one I ever owned, although unfortunately it died pretty soon after that. It feels exactly like it used to, so the quality here is really excellent. And just taking it out of the box now, you can see what a great job they've done of sort of trying to capture the look and feel of the original Spectrum while adding all these modern ports here, like TV out through HDMI, and it takes a lovely 5-volt USB-C in as well, so it's all set up for modern convenience. Now it's got a bit of weight to it, and these lovely rubber feet stop it from sliding around, so you're not going to sort of like be chasing this around the desk. And flipping it over the right way up again, I'm just trying to remember how we used to load the games, and I think you used to press J, quote mark, and press enter, and that would just run the games for you. But it has been ages since I actually loaded a game from a real Spectrum. You get a manual, of course, a quick start guide, and then absolutely brilliant this, you get a little issue of Crash magazine, which was the magazine back in the day that used to review Spectrum games. I used to buy it myself, and inside you get a review of all the included games. So this is a really nice way of sort of taking you through what was inside and what's included in the package in a very nostalgic kind of accessible way. But you've probably seen all this before, it's been around for a while now. The main reason I wanted to do this video is actually to show you what I want to do with this, and that is to hook this thing up to a CRT TV. So I bought this scaler from Amazon. It was about £10 I think, and although this one's sold out, I'm pretty sure you can still buy other versions of it. I think it's composite only, although SCART does support RGB, this won't, but it allows me to plug an HDMI lead into this, and then this will then take that and convert it into SCART, allowing me to attach it to a TV. And the other thing I want to try and do is get this sort of joystick, Kempston joystick that I used to have. Now this isn't my original one, this is a new one that my brother bought for me, but as you can see it's in pretty good condition. It needs a bit of retrobiting because, believe it or not, that little sort of bit at the base of the joystick is actually meant to be blue. But yeah, I bought this off AliExpress. Now this is supposed to allow you to plug a range of different devices in through a sort of standard 9-pin connector, and you can see there's a couple of them you can buy, and this one is set up for Sega Genesis and PC Engine, etc., but it does apparently accept Kempston joysticks as well. So let's hook this all up together now. Put the SCART lead in and the HDMI lead in, allow power into the adapter, and then make sure that is set to PAL, and let's see how it looks on my TV. Okay, so we have a picture. Let's make sure it's set to 50 Hz, which is PAL, as it should be. And it's a little washed out, but actually it's not too bad, especially for a £10 adapter. Now let's squash this down, because this is coming out 16:9 because it's an HDMI signal, so it's natively 16:9. And this will then sort of put it back into the correct aspect ratio on the TV. Now, of course, the Spectrum itself is converting these 4:3 games into 4:3 for a 16:9 output on an HDMI, so it's sort of cropping the sides. So by the time I've sort of squashed it down and then the Spectrum's cropped the sides or put some borders on the side to make it fit that 16:9 picture, you can see it's kind of now just occupying the middle of the screen here. You get that kind of postage stamp effect. But otherwise, actually, it looks pretty good. So although it's a little washed out, and maybe I could buy a better adapter and get a better picture from it, this actually is very playable and is definitely as good a quality as it would have been when I was playing this back in the day. Now, of course, the other thing I want to do is use my joystick. So the first thing I'm going to do is just make sure that I'm running the latest version of the firmware. So just downloading that from the website, putting it on a USB stick and installing that. Instructions are on the website. So now I've got the latest version, I'll plug in my stick and see if that works. Well, it kind of works. It went right to start with, but now it only really seems to want to move left. The fire button doesn't work at all. If I push up, I do get this pop-up menu for a controller, but that's about it. nothing else seems to work. So it's definitely not behaving the way I would expect it to. Now, just to rule out the adapter itself being broken, I've plugged it into a Windows PC, and as you can see, it seems to be working just fine and comes up as a SparkFun controller. So heading back to Retro Games website and the Spectrum support page, I clicked on the custom controller configurations page to see what advice it gave me there, and it turns out it's reading its information on controllers from this game controller database text file. A little bit of research brought me to this gamepad tool, which I've got installed on my Mac here, and it allowed me to map the buttons from the SparkFun and add it to the database. You can see I've actually already done that here, and I'm just running through the controls here to show you what I did. Now, the database itself supports all manner of different systems, and apparently the Spectrum runs off of Linux, but obviously I've created this file on a Mac. So just dropping it in as it was onto the USB stick and putting it in the Spectrum has made absolutely no difference at all to the controller. So I changed it to Linux without changing anything else, plugged that back in, and nothing. And that's kind of where we have to leave it. After messing about for quite some time, I have so far been unable to get my Kempston joystick to work on the Spectrum, but I'm sure that it's possible. The adapter does work on a PC, and therefore I am absolutely positive there is some way for somebody to correct the code and make it happen. So if anyone's watching this and knows what to do, please let me know down in the comments. Well, that's enough messing about. I've still got the keyboard and I've still got my little joypad that seems to work just fine. Now, I thought it might be fun to just show you a few games that I used to play back in the day, and the first one is Spiky Harold from Firebird. It's on the silver range and cost me $1.99 at the market, which is an absolute bargain. So if you haven't heard of this game, have a look. Now this game, like a lot of Spectrum games, was absolutely hard as balls, but you'd go around these different screens, and the idea is to grab as many bits of fruit and vegetables and just general items before the time runs out, and you get about 18 lives, but as you can see, anything white on the screen you will die if you touch, and jumping around and navigating this game is far from easy. It's very often you will get stuck on a particular part just not being able to jump. It's nuts, but loads of fun and really rewarding, and I had to turn the music off because it will drive you insane. It's Flight of the Bumblebee and it just goes round and round on a loop. And next up is Spike. You can see it's another Firebird game for $1.99. I don't think I actually bought this though. I think this was a present, because I don't know if I would have bought this game purely based on the cover. It's quite a cool cover, but definitely doesn't represent the game and is quite creepy and weird looking. One of the things I really do like about it though is when you do lose a life, the animation of Spike, you've got a whole sort of range of spare spikes at the bottom of the screen, and then when you die he just walks off and comes back onto the screen again. Now the point of the game is to get from one end of the screen to the other without hitting the bad guys, of course. Now if you look here, I'm jumping up and down, you can see there's a hidden block, and quite often what you're required to do is hit these switches to make the blocks appear. And when you die, you get little clues to show you where the blocks actually are on the screen. And that's pretty much all there is to it. It's a nice simple game with fun graphics, and actually looking back on it, the animation on some of the creatures is really, really good. Quite impressive actually for a game this early on in the Spectrum's life. And last but absolutely definitely not least is Scooby-Doo. Now there were a few Scooby-Doo games on the Spectrum, Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo I think, but this one's the first one that I played. It was given to me by a friend, and it's a really simple game but really, really addictive. If you play this on the keyboard, it's pretty tough, but I have managed to get this working on the joypad, and although there's no music in the game, the sound effects are really fun and cool, and the idea is to rescue all of your friends. The whole gang's been captured by the ghosts, and each level the ghosts get tougher and stranger, and you just got to get to the end of each level and rescue your friends. As you can see, the ghosts are pretty much non-stop, so you have to be constantly attacking left, right, left, right, left, right to zap them, otherwise you're just going to die. And getting over some of these gaps can be hard. But here we are with rescued Velma. But something I hadn't considered. is how deeply sad and strange it was, and Velma was just a head in a jar. But we got her out the jar, and now we're on level 2. I wanted to show you this level just because the sound effects on it are really cool. I used to love the sound of the springy, bouncy Jack-in-the-Box guy. And it's just a weird game, but very cool. If you get a chance to play it, do check it out. Well, overall, I absolutely love the Spectrum. I think it's an amazing piece of kit. The fully working keyboard is really such a bonus. But if I could make a couple of changes, it would be that if retro games could add a full screen mode to when you're playing the games, because then I can squash them down on my CRT. And if anybody watching this has any idea how to change that config file to make my Kempston joystick work, that'd be really appreciated. That's it for this time. See you next time on Kester's Forest.